Weeks in Starforged Legends playing Insanity, right? And having the meta cycle so quick, I feel like only now until only recently have we kind of calmed down a little bit and come to a middle ground to consistent decks and things that we think are really working for us, and the meta is stabilizing a little bit, as opposed to before where it seemed like every week was aggro, then combo, then control, or something like that.
Well, over time, as the meta develops, I mean, certain decks are going to rise to the top as just being the most consistent, the best, whatever. And I think most players now, in the early stages of things, you're going to find where, you can get advantage off of playing a triple aggro lineup or a triple combo lineup. Now, since all the decks are kind of sorted out and what's good and what's good and what's bad is what's bad, you can kind of settle into what you're seeing right now. So I think this is just a natural state of the metagame.
Right. It is kind of weird that, the meta shifted back towards what it was before the expansion. It's kind of
right.
It's kind of interesting. I think the only really new thing we've seen is obviously Ceres in mid-range Shadow, but mid-range Shadow for the most part is exactly the same. We saw Dragon trying new things out, but here we see Dragon exactly the same again. And then Dirt Rune, I think, is probably our newest addition to the meta from Starforged now.
Yeah, like we saw it, sparingly in the last season. Like, people chose to bring it against Mid Shadow if they thought that was going to be a popular deck that day, things like that, because it was really good at countering it before. And now, yeah, Burn Rune's just a great deck. We saw it fall off a little bit yesterday. It didn't really win or have a high win percentage yesterday, but played well, and with the right draws, I mean, it can really take out anything. Like we saw it, if you flow well into your burn, you can just end your opponent before they have a chance to do anything.
Exactly, right. Like, I mean, like you said, we did see it, underperform in tournament, but that's, these are our best players, going at it consistently against each other, and that just kind of happens. But I mean, if you look at Dirt Rune's stats overall in tournaments, and then look at its ladder stats, what we have to look at, it's probably consistently, I don't want to say the best deck in the game, but I think it's pretty close. It's a high contender for it, for sure.
It is, and it's because it has so many good draws that you can get into, right? Like these one-drop draws into Illusionist, into, Dwarven Alchemist. It just feels really good. Like, you have so much board presence for so many turns. You can empty your hand, without even thinking about it because of Wizard of Oz. So you can just really play aggro at, like, what I think the best way to play aggro is. It's just no thought into, I just want to push everything out of my hand and then have this great retail engine in Oz.
It's absolutely insane. Oz is, I think she's been pushed more so this expansion, just because, like, the pressure of Oz followed by Master Mage Levi is just, oh my gosh, it's insurmountable. You can't really do anything about it.
Yep. I will say one of the big differences that we see that have actually changed the metagame a lot is the Staircase to Paradise. I know we talked about it forever in week 1 and week 2 because it was in pretty much every single deck. And now it's been solidified into, like Dragon, some mid-shadow players play it, neutral decks play it, that kind of thing. But Staircase adds this whole depth to control decks that it never had before. Like, before, we'd see Dragon, like, ramp really fast and not have any threats, or have a lot of threats and not have a lot of ramp. But Staircase kind of bridges that gap and just gives it that endgame push that it needs.
Right, Staircase is a very, very flexible card. It's also being played even in, it's kind of weird this being played in Haven, like the faction that has Globe and has Sacred Plea, but I'll see a Haven player, like, drop turn 1 Staircase and, like, double take, like, wait, why are you playing that in Haven Craft? You already have the best, one play point amulets.
It's true. Staircase is just that good. Sometimes it can take over the spot of, Sacred Plea or Globe of Stairways if you don't want to play a lot of other amulets in your deck, and Sacred Plea you find is a little too slow. Or it's the same speed of Staircase in your particular deck, and it just does more for you.
It is definitely a very powerful card. I've known it's gotten a little bit of hate from the community, but it's probably just because it's so ubiquitous, right? Like, it's not because it's too good; it's because it's just everywhere, right? It's just kind of like it's a great toolbox card for everybody, right?
That's right, and we've seen it all across the board too. We've seen it in aggro decks. It's a little bit harder to use in aggro decks because it does take up a one-drop slot essentially, so you're not dealing damage with that. However, as we saw, I think it was a couple weeks ago, Fatina brought an aggro blood deck that utilized Staircase, and he actually beat on the draw another aggro blood deck just because he had so much card quality, right? He just drew so many cards throughout the game, gained enough life to stay alive, and then just pushed at the end. It was really fun to watch.
It was definitely very interesting. I do want to talk about real quick Gengur's sort of pivotal play right there, I think. You kind of have to kill Sybil right there, but your hand is bad. You can go for Oz into a spell, but what do you think of? I think Master Mage Levi into Sybil there is the correct play. It is the best, leads to the best lines. But what do you think of that? Like, should alternative lines have been considered there?
No. I think that was 100% the best line. If you go
Yeah.
for Wizardess, then you're not guaranteeing that you kill the Sybil, and you have to guarantee that you kill the Sybil. And now Gengur's just in a great spot. I mean, he doesn't really have to worry about this Saha Quill. He has time to play out this Master Mage Levi this following turn. And, well, now he has the option of playing the Halo Golem. So he has lethal setup with a Wizardess backup. I think he's in an amazing spot. However, we do have to consider that Israfil's probably going to come down next turn to gain some more health. So it's all about what that Wizardess can pull, if it can end the game or not. But I think Gengur's still in a good spot, even if that first Wizardess doesn't.
Right. Ooh, that was an interesting play. I think he is considering the Israfil coming down that he saw, but putting him at 6, evolving the Illusionist along with that play to put him at 6 was pretty good. Sybil's also a pretty good card, I've heard.
So let's talk about that last play too, killing the Saha Quill instead of going face there.
Well, I think he probably considered, Israfil's playable. I know that for sure. So if Ford is healed no matter what, and I leave a 6/2 on the board, that'll trade. He'll heal for 4, and I'm in a worse spot, right? Because the Israfil will attack me, right?
That makes sense.
I guess was the play. Oh, that was devastating. Oh my gosh, that was like a really good top deck.
Yeah, Gengur with probably the best top deck he could have gotten, a Sigil, and a Sigil that helps clear out Sybil. And now Botalz is in a tough spot. He has to play heal here. Ooh.
Ooh. He disagrees.
Okay. Yeah, never mind. He's like, you know what?
You mean?
Forget this. Oh my goodness.
That's not quite good enough yet, though.
It's not quite good enough yet, but ooh, he didn't get it this turn. Okay.
That's pretty good, though.
That is pretty good. But Botalz is kind of out of good options here. I mean, he can play Lucifer to heal back up, but that Wizardess of Oz will remain in play.
Ooh, Mutagenic Bolt drawn a little bit too late. But this is kind of like, what we were talking about at the beginning of this match. Just like we were talking about, like, Ramp Dragon, you think is a deck, it can blow up Earth Sigils, right? It can heal a lot. It's got a lot of board control. And here it is on the back foot, like Burn Rune is just so strong that it's got Ramp Dragon on the back foot.
Yep. And it just makes every play here just hard. I mean, okay. There we go. There's something.
Well, Saha Loose is going to be, kind of okay, but how many turns can you do this,
Yep. It's not bad. This was the big push turn. I actually overlooked that, the fact that he could actually clear out the follower and gain health that turn. But without any Bahamut's in hand, this Professor of Taboos might come down and shake things up quite a bit here.
It could. Dragoon Scyther is an answer to it, though, so.
And he might save it for another Bahamut. That's always an idea, too, is just you want to save your Professors for the biggest threats that your opponent has, but it looks like Gengur just wants to push. Can't find any fault in it.
I think Gengur is, he's up on the plane. He wants to push for damage. I think he's given up on the idea of if I get breathed, this board is gone. I think he doesn't care about that.
I don't think you can worry about it because, again, the other thing that you have to consider every single turn is how many cards do I have in my hand? If I draw a Wizardess, can I push with it? So just you want to empty as fast as humanly possible, even if it feels awkward. It's just like, well, I'm getting rid of all the cards in my hand for not the most advantage that I could, but I'm setting up for the best top decks.
The name's Levi. Don't forget.
And he's actually getting so close, really. This is, oh gosh, one.
It's funny, you never feel good about drawing red hot rituals in the end of the game, but these have been working.
You don't
out
at all,
perfectly.
Yeah, but here it is. He's used them twice now, like excellently. Rahab, instead of a heal, you kind of have to, right? Because it doesn't matter how much you heal here. But that's what I was talking about earlier. Rahab, he couldn't use all his play points, and there he is, buffing into an 8/5. Like, it's gonna trade with anything.
Singular threat. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, even in old Dragon Mirrors, this is a play, right? Like, your opponent wipes the board, you play a single Rahab, and then you're fine. You're just like, you know what? You have to deal with this threat. It's just as big as an Israfil. It's just as big as all the other big threats in my deck, but it only costs me 4 play points. I can also play it alongside of Breath of the Salamander or something like that. So
this is a big Israfil. This is huge. It's not only going to heal him, but there's nothing in Gengur's hand to answer that.
Oh gosh. No.
Oh no! Oh no! The
He
surrender
scoops
max
it.
life.
He scoops it. Gengur, come on, my friend. Give yourself a Wizardess of Oz draw chance. Come on. I know
Well,
how
I
it
think he'd
feels,
already
though.
used. I think he'd already used 2, so he wanted to
Oh, okay.
just.
Yeah, he might only have 2 in his deck. I do see some players running 2.
Yeah.
But that'll be game 1. Botalz narrowly escaping death on that one. Narrowly.
That was so close. That was so close.
But I did think that the Dragon deck did have a slight advantage, like I said, and now it's just going to come down to, can this Burn Rune deck win?
Against Mid Shadow,
Has a good chance.
I feel like we've seen this matchup quite a bit. Have we seen Burn Rune even lose to Mid Shadow?
Yes, we have.
Outside of
It doesn't happen frequently, but it does happen.
Okay. All right, I'll believe you. You know, maybe. You know, I'll believe you a little bit.
Yesterday
Maybe.
it definitely happened, because I don't believe Burn Rune won a single game yesterday. I take that back. It might have won a single game, but it didn't win, or it lost more often than it won. I'll say that. Maybe it won a game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Botalz is very, very he's very profoundly getting over the fact that everyone manages to go Witch's Cauldron into Illusionist always. It happens so often.
It's not so much that it just happens this game. It's the second game that Gengur's managed to do this. First game it was with Scrap Iron Smelter. It always feels bad, because you're just like, how am I supposed to gain the board against this deck? And they draw extra cards because of it. It's like, stop it, man, stop it. And he has the Dwarven Alchemist again on top of it. Feels good.
Well, feels good for Gengur.
Yeah, feels good for Gengur, of course. Yes. Botalz.
He is in a
doesn't look like he
situation
feels
now
good.
though where he doesn't have any more sigils. So he didn't have Carl there.
Mhm.
This is his last sigil. He does get to evolve first though, so I think he's fine.
This is an interesting choice here. If you play 2/2 drops, I feel like you're just giving back the board again. If you play Saris into an Evo turn, you're kind of giving up your Saris. I think Botalz is kind of in an awkward spot here.
He was in a very awkward spot, but I actually really love that he denied Dwarf Alchemist there. It's kind of a toss-up, whether you know it's a good play or not, but it's going to end up being a great play. It's going to, you know, it feels weird to say it's going to force the Levi out, because Levi's still a great play, right?
Right.
But it made it where he couldn't evolve that to search for cards, and evolving that to search for cards would have been possibly devastating.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like one of those innate things about Burn Rune that just makes it really good. Like, you have extra card draw along your suite with Dwarven Alchemist and Wizardess of Oz and your Witch's Cauldron and Telescope. It just makes the deck flow a lot better. It's kind of why we see it now, and we never saw it before these cards existed, just because it wasn't consistent. You couldn't really get
Witch's
your
Cauldron
sigils
and
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Witch's Cauldron and Telescope are huge about that. In fact, before those cards were printed, Magic Illusionist was unplayable. It was just, there was no way to get sigils on the board to make it useful, right?
Not very good. It's a lot less often that you draw your 3 of Scrap Iron Smelter into your Magic Illusionist every single game, and now you just have so many options to do so, yeah.
Exactly. Huge difference. Double Crimson Sorcery from Gengur. He's gonna unleash the flames.
Yep. Yeah, this is a feel-good spot for Burn Rune right here. Is he not going to use the second one? I can't see a world where he doesn't.
He might save it for Death's Breath.
But he's got the Mutagenic Bolt for that. Yeah, okay, there we go, Gengur. That's what I like to see.
Yeah. It does feel weird not having an Earth Sigil on the board when you're going into your 6, but he does have Bolt, like you said, so he should be fine.
Yeah, he's got the perfects. I mean, he can even tempo play out a Wizardess into the Bolt if he wants to, just to get more bodies in play. I think he's sitting pretty here.
I actually kind of agree with that Oz into that anyway. I think that's much better.
Yeah. Without any Evos left for Botalz to contest with, I think it's just an awesome play. And you can't let the Saris survive, and there's not really a good way. I mean, I guess you could evolve the Wizardess into it, but I wouldn't really suggest that. Could Master Mage Levi and Evo it, but that doesn't feel good either.
Master Mage Levi Evo doesn't also set up anything that matters, I think.
Right.
If you could put Botalz on a relevant life total that's not 7, I think that would be interesting, but
yeah.
Eh.
Plus, there's another side to Wizardess of Oz. If you're ahead like you are in this game, or like Gengur is rather, you kind of want sometimes Wizards of Oz to not draw too many cards, because you don't want to discard anything the turn that you play it. So if you play this tempo Wizardess of Oz and then play into the Mutagenic Bolt, there's only one chance for another spell to be drawn off the top of your deck, and a really good chance for you to just to draw a sigil for your Master Mage Levi's as well. So
Right. That is very true. It's also possible that he wants to just save, just save this combo. Because, if Oz doesn't draw anything better, and she only has the Mutagenic Bolt to play off of, what if I bolt and he Thanes? Or what if I bolt and he Eectors, flips that on me? So I think you could consider that.
The problem with this play, or this turn rather, is I think...
The name's Levi.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. I think what he's thinking is exactly your line of thought, is I want to save this Mutagenic Bolt for an Ektar or a Thane or a Death's Breath. I don't want to overextend now because I am as ahead as I am. And I don't mind this play at all. I don't mind it at all.
It is definitely, it's gonna feel really good for, wow, Botalz walks right into it too.
Yep.
Oh no.
Yep.
He does get some
damage.
damage.
The other thing too is if you play the Wizardess with the Bolt, then you kind of give an option for these Flame Rats to get out of play. So I could have seen a world where you Mutagenic Bolt and just pass there too, just to extend your lead.
Yeah.
But without, extra burn in hand that he can rightfully just cast off of this Wizardess, I think, not going for that play is pretty smart.
Bolt on this Thane would be really strong also, because it also denies that ward. You also could just bolt and not even Wizardess of Oz, because if you play Oz, you give them a chance to kill the rats. Yeah.
And without Shadow having any real ways to sacrifice their own dudes at the moment, Bottle doesn't have Soul Conversions, doesn't have any Demon Eaters, doesn't have anything to sacrifice his own board. These Flame Rats could just come down and just set up a lethal all by themselves.
Right. He's also not holding Blue Eyes White Dragon. He can't tribute 2 of them for that. So
Sure.
there's no way to get rid of the rats.
I know absolutely nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh! So yes, I will agree with you.
Everyone understands that one though. Come on.
No, I know Blue Eyes White Dragon is a thing. However, that's all I know.
Yeah, it's just a thing. Yeah, that's what it does.
It's just a thing.
He does play the Oz though, so that's gonna give a chance to Botalz to clear the rats.
That was a picture perfect top deck. I don't think he could have drawn something better there. The Scrap Iron Smelter denies the option for all these Flame Rats to die now.
Yeah, well, one of them can die, but yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
This top deck from Botalz will be pretty important. That's terrible. That's terrible.
It's not what you want to see. Yep. And now Gengur only has to find a few extra points of damage here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, he doesn't.
You're right. He's got Master Mage Levi and Sigil.
Or he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Rats put Botalz at 7, and I think Botalz knows that if Master Mage Levi were to happen, now he loses the game, so...
That's true. And there's no way to kill the Wizardess this turn, so he's going to probably set up with a Death's Breath, feel bad about it, because he knows Master Mage Levi is an option, and then Master Mage Levi is going to do what it does best, and end the game.
Right. The card we talked about so much in the beginning is going to do its job and do exactly what we were talking about the whole time.
Yep. You know why, Envy? Because we're smart people, okay? We know things.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why we cast NGE. We're the best in the world, right? Totally.
All right, so now we get a nice little mid-shadow matchup here. Mirror match. Let's see if there's anything crazy about either of these players. Shadow decks, always a point of contention if they're running Phantom House Service.
A few have been running the one-of Tyrant, which is a little bit spicy, but... It's not that big a deal.
See. So Gengur.
Well, actually, two Tyrants. Wow.
Gengur is running 2 Serbs and a Phantom Howl, and Botalz is running. It looks like
Gengur
just the Dark Blade Fiends and Death's Breath and stuff. Did I miss Tyrants?
Let the duel begin.
Did I see
No,
Tyrants?
I don't see any Tyrants. Yeah, I don't see any Tyrants. Yeah, so the only real spiciness in this matchup is the 2 Serbs and a Phantom Howl, but those can come into play. But no Tyrants, no crazy stuffs.
I read the word death and wanted that to be Deathly Tyrant, I think, because it was in the 6th slot also.
Yeah.
Death's Breath.
Yeah,
Deathly Tyrant.
DB's been finding its way out of mid-shadow in a lot. To be honest, it's kind of a spicy card in decks now too, if you see it or not. It's not in every single mid-shadow deck by any means.
Like we saw last game, it gets blown out by Master Mage Levi. Like you commit to Death's Breath and it's like, I don't care, Master Mage Levi, right?
Master Mage Levi, Mutagenic Bolt, you know, of course we know things like Bahamut and stuff like that, but you kind of want Death's Breath against the Dragon matchup so you have more board fills. But it's definitely not as safe as it used to be, by any means.
It's it used to be like it's a staple on 6 play points, like Death's Breath, 9 health on board. What? That's insane. And then it's just like now it's like, yeah, whatever. That's kind of a tech card, I guess. I wouldn't really play it.
You know why? It's because Forest fell off. Forest was like the
Yeah,
main
that's
reason
true.
why you had to run Death's Breath in your deck, and now because Forest isn't played by everybody more, sad, it breaks my heart, you don't have to play Death's Breath anymore, because Death's Breath is a great
Sword
answer
also,
to
I
roach
think.
combo turns and things like that.
Yeah, Roach combo, and then and Sword. You know, like they had a lot of followers that you wanted to stop them from hitting you. So
Yeah, Death's Breath great against Sword as well, but Sword, as we know, has fallen off almost completely, except for a few players like Fantasy who can't get away.
we do still have our North American players playing aggro variants every now and then, but
Mhm.
we talk about that a lot. Like North American players, they like Swordcraft. Like it happens, it comes back way too often, more than it does in other regions
Look,
for sure.
look, Envy, there's nothing wrong with liking Swordcraft, okay? Ooh,
Bottles.
ooh,
we
Bottles
stopped
felt that one.
Talking about Swordcraft, but that 50-50 was pretty nice.
That was a really nice setup by Gengur. He's like, you know what? If I can go for this advantageous play here, I think I might just be able to press my advantage and luck out. This is awesome. Awesome line of play.
Definitely worked out for him. Second series though is just as fine.
Yeah. Sarah's always good.
Very powerful card. Honestly, Ceres, one of the biggest reasons you even bother to play Mid Shadow right now, right?
Yes. I mean, if Ceres didn't exist in Mid Shadow, I think it would have a lot less of a win percentage versus Burn Rune specifically, and it wouldn't do as well against aggro decks as we've been seeing it do.
For sure. And Bottle's also playing, the complementary, also new card, Dark Blade Fiend. Very nice that Mid Shadow got that, mid-range cards in Ceres and Dark Blade Fiend. Both very, very
That's
good.
right.
I think Ceres infinitely
Yeah.
better though, obviously.
Of course. And they're not a bad game plan to play together. We saw Blade Fiend make a huge splash at the beginning of the format and kind of fade away for a while. I think because it's not so great in your control matchups. It can set up a nice little ward to stop a combo turn or something like that. But it does use up your shadows. It means your Ektars are a little bit worse. Your Soul Squashers might not be able to be played as frequently. Things like that. So I think people went away from it. But if you know you're going to be playing mid-shadow matchups and aggro matchups, it's definitely a good slot to come back in.
For sure. You'll see the power of Ceres, still dominating this board. It's very, very awkward to get rid of. It's going to require an evolve on Cerberus. It's going to require either Coco or Mimi. It's just such an investment.
Yeah, and Gengur decided to basically side skirt it last turn, but not this turn. He's like, all right, time to die. And will still trade with the Cerberus.
Right, yeah.
That doesn't
So
feel
even after that heavy investment, you're still losing your evolved Cerberus, and that's gotta feel bad. It's gotta feel terrible. But that's just how good Ceres is.
So for those of you out there who have not decided to make the investment into Ceres for your shadow decks, after watching a game like this, come on now.
Yeah, come on, right? Come on. Like Thane's great
Come
and
on.
everything, right? But if you're
Yeah,
playing mid-range
right.
Shadow and you're not playing triple Ceres, why are you
I
playing
can
mid-range
see
Shadow?
if your list's really tight and you want to play enough tech cards, you might be able to drop it down to 2, but I wouldn't suggest it.
Yeah, if we're talking to ladder players here, I don't think that's even an option, really. I think you just kind of want that always.
That's fair. And now we might see a Thane into a Thane. Yep.
That's my favorite play, Thane into Thane.
This is where the game gets interesting. Who trades with what? There we
I think
go.
a
We
Thane,
can see the
the last
as
evolve
well.
probably going to be a Thane hopscotch here, I'd imagine.
Yep.
Yeah, makes
Looking
sense.
like.
That's a pretty good board. I mean, if Iktra was going to answer this on the backswing, 12 shadows are available, so it is possible. You have to kill one of the whites first, and then kill the Thane, leaving up one white. So that's a pretty good board for Gengar. I like this play a lot.
Yeah, it's not bad. Botalz has a really good play that he has White King into Skull Beast into Ektar. Basically one of the best boards you can get out of an Ektar this early. Might even actually be the most value Ektar we've seen this season, this turn.
Right, that is a disgusting, disgusting Eater. It's kind of awkward to kind of like compare that to old Eater, like the first Eater. Like that's almost as good as first Eater was.
Right.
And he had to have 4 cards or 3 cards to do it. And 12 shadows. He had to have 12 shadows there too. That was really important.
Yep. It looks like he's opting for the route to keep himself the most secure on board, which I like. That was an amazing turn.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of like what this mirror really is, though. It's just kind of like basically just swinging the board back and forth for each other.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, decides to trade out the removal spell in hand instead of the 1/1. Again, just to keep board.
But I mean, this is Botalz' turn to answer this again. I don't know if he has it. He doesn't have a turn like last turn for sure. No way.
Definitely not. I think he's going to set up another ward with this Demon Eater just to be safe, because he has to. You always have to respect things like Ektar.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with that. He's going to go for that too. Yeah. He draws 2 very kind of useless cards. Villain is kind of not great this late in the game, but Gengur's running out of steam. You know, Gengur's hand is pretty bad for this.
But as we know with Shadow, I mean, it only takes 1 draw, and he does have a Soul Conversion in hand. Of course, Delirium and Soul Squash are not too effective at the moment.
Ooh, Lurching Corpse. Ooh.
Ooh.
That could get really bad, or could get really. He already did this once this game. I don't know if he can do it twice. It's a 1 in 4 to hit that word.
That's true. So there's two interesting thoughts here. He could Lurching Corpse into Soul Conversion. That'll only let him get out of that with 6 play points. So I don't know if I like that play. I think I might take the chance. I think I might take the chance of Soul Converting the 1/1, see what happens, hope to draw Nectar as always, and then just play from there.
I like Lurching Corpse more. I think the payoff is too much.
Oh my,
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Botalz is just taken aback by this.
Yeah, Botalz like, why? Why?
That's
how I would feel if that happened to me twice in the same game. That one was even harsher, right? That was a 1 in 4 shot.
That was a 1 in 4. Yeah, the other one was a 50-50. That's whatever. That's literally a coin flip, right? This one was not 2 coin flips. That's not how that works, but you know, half the chance of a coin flip, right?
Yeah, my goodness. And this is a forced Blade Fiend. Has to play it or else he'll die.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Blade Feed's still great here. Like, it's gonna allow, it's gonna put up a ward. It's also gonna slash one of those for free. So it's not a bad play at all.
Definitely not. Didn't look like Botalz wanted to take the chance on his Belness to kill that 2/1. He's not feeling as lucky as Gengur, I guess.
This is looking. Yeah, he's not feeling lucky. I wouldn't feel lucky at this point. Like I don't know. But this is looking. Mid Shadow always does this to me. Like you think, wow, you know, X players are ahead, and then like the turn passes,
right.
And it's like, wow, the other players are totally ahead right now. Like,
right.
The advantage bar just flip flops so hard.
This is because of how value oriented all the Shadow cards are. Mirror matches are just crazy, right? It's just like there's so many different things that can happen on your turns. I mean, Ektar's Thanes, Soul Conversions, Lurching Corpses. I mean, you name it. There's just an infinite array of things that can happen.
Double thing kind of clunky here. Ooh.
Right.
Gonna kill Melons. I like that. I do kind of like that, actually. It doesn't even hit it can't even hit the the Demon Eater on the 50-50. All right.
The Saris, though, might come down to put in a lot of work. This does mean, though, after the Thane comes down for Gengur, that Botalz will still have to top deck, because the Thane's going to outvalue the Saris here.
Mm-hmm. Saris is a great card, but Thane is also an insanely good card.
Oh, and a Demon Eater to go alongside of it.
It does make clearing kind of weird. You have to consider... Do you even bother considering Eater at this point? You have to, right? You have to kill the 2/2, and you have to kill the skeleton out of it so you don't die to Eater.
Always
yeah.
Consider. Yeah. And taking the chance for the Belness to whiff. Didn't whiff this time. So
Okay.
Botalz getting a little bit here. Botalz getting a little bit.
Finally, right? Finally.
Yep. And this will set up the ward.
And I like that a lot. You just get a second Thane anyway, right? So, totally great here.
Pretty sure this is how we see Thane played most of the time now. It's just you play it, you get the value, and then you get this ward afterwards. It's really nice. It's just a really nice play. Plus, you get to deal the extra damage with the whites that are in play.
Eco drawn. That's pretty good. I mean, just like I said, it flip flops so hard, so easily.
Now the real question is, do you run the Ceres in before you play Ektar to get a little bit more value?
Ooh, I like that
looks
a
like he's
lot.
gonna clear board. Okay.
I love that because now you have space for Ether and 2 zombies.
Yep. This works as well. Wants to keep that Ceres in play. Makes the most sense in the world.
Ceres at the moment is his win condition, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yep. And now with the Ektar drawn, favor back to Botalz. This is one of the swingiest Shadow matches I've ever seen. This has actually just been
Mid-range Shadow does this all the time. This is mid-range
I
Shadow
don't
right
know.
here.
Not like this. Not like this. These turns have
I
been
swear
crazy.
that's
Like
the same game
nonstop.
before. I promise you. This happens every time.
All right, this is
So
Botalz'
close.
game to win now. Ooh.
That's not quite good enough. This is such a hard turn now too, because you're at 5. There are 2 whites on the board, and you're at 5. You're gonna go to 7, right? And you kill one for free, but
Yeah. So I'll have to take the damage from it. Yeah, this is the hard one. It's like, do you keep the white in play? I think you have to, right? I mean, it's the only way to stay alive. But there aren't
You have
any
to, yeah.
wards here, so actually, yeah, there's. This is just gonna put it right back to Gengur, and if he can't kill the white, which he can't this turn, that means that the White King is gonna come down on defense, and it's gonna produce almost a guaranteed lethal. No, one away from
oh,
lethal.
Death's Breath. Oh gosh, dude. This is such a swingy matchup. That Ceres has got so much value. Oh my gosh.
This is a true slobber knocker.
What?
That's right. That's Aya's favorite word for long games, is slobber knocker. It's a slobber knocker.
I feel like Control Blood player would have a word for that.
Yeah.
Ooh. Wow. It's going face for 3. It's going to try and outvalue the Ceres, I guess? Yeah.
I think this is the perfect
like
play because this actually does set up a guaranteed lethal because the wards have to be traded into if there isn't any hard removal for the white, and that's just game.
And Botalz drew a Lyrial. Oh my gosh. 2 Lyrials drawn after your evolves are gone just feels so bad.
Oh no, he should have attacked the Belinus first. He does have a chance to kill that white.
That's true, yeah. That is true. I think he just realized that and he killed himself doing it. Oh no.
Oh,
I think.
no.
Wow, that was a match. That was a match right there. That was one of my favorite games I've seen so far. That was incredible.
That's every mid-sword match. Every mid-sword mirror ends up like that.
Mid shadow.
Shadow.
Mid shadow.
Yeah.
Mid
Yeah.
shadow, yeah. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. That's what I'm.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. I cannot.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
That's rough. That is really difficult. I think that got really complicated really fast. Man, I don't even know what to say when you get to that. All you can.
It's hard to cast those. They flip flop. They're like a seesaw, right? They just do this over and over. It's just like
In the